Now this was a surprise, and a welcome one to be sure. On the 27th of March, Games Workshop went live with their preview show at Adepticon to show off new reveals for Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, and the Old World. As expected, the Beastmen range was revealed along with their Arcane Journal, but then unexpectedly they revealed the Wood Elves range alongside them, giving little details about the stories and matchup between Kralmaw and Orion. But then Games Workshop pulled something truly unexpected, a third faction reveal. And what a reveal it was. Grand Cathay is coming to Warhammer the Old World. I could not describe to you how much my jaw dropped onto the floor. A beautiful narration from Miao Ying, and stunning ink effects and mural paintings depicting the Celestial Dragon Emperor, the Great Bastion, and the armies of Grand Cathay. All brought together by incredible music, making everything feel all the grander. I was extremely happy to hear Ray Lin, Miao Ying's voice actress for Total War Warhammer 3, being brought on for this role, and she absolutely nails the narration of our favourite cold and aloof matriarch. With this trailer came the reveals of the miniatures. Jade Warriors and Lancers, Artillery, the Sky Lantern, even variants of the Terracotta Sentinel made from different materials, and finished off with Miao Ying herself in her true form of the Storm Dragon. The miniatures are absolutely stunning. It surprised me to see just how much detail they managed to fit in there while keeping it to the old world scale. Not only that, but the implementation of the unit champions, standard bearers, and musicians has been done excellently in my opinion, despite not having any of those in their Total War Warhammer 3 counterparts. The variety and diversity within the miniatures is also fun to see. A range of both male and female heads of the Jade units, different options for the artillery crew, and even an ogre to provide some assistance. Though something that does confuse me with the Jade units is the lack of Jade crossbowmen. I expect it's going to be a multi-part kit, but the lack of a ranged option is jarring for me. Also, the amount of detail they have put into these miniatures does admittedly make it feel daunting when it comes time to paint them, but I know it's going to be a joy to do from start to finish. Looking at the character units, we were shown the Dragon-Blooded Shugengun Lord on Great Spirit Longma and the Gatemaster. While it's wonderful to see a Dragon-Blooded Shugengun as one of the first options, I think the Great Spirit Longma absolutely steals the spotlight from her. It truly captured the mythical and draconic look, though it does make me wonder if this particular one is any different from the Jade Longma mount in Total War Warhammer 3. It's also interesting to note that she has a weapon option. In-game, the Shugengun Lords use martial arts to fight hand-to-hand rather than wielding weapons. Will the mounted version have a weapons choice while the one on foot uses martial arts? Will there be those choices for both? I certainly hope we will also get a Shugengun Lord on foot, and especially different head and helmet options to choose from. I can't wait to find out. The Gatemaster, on the other hand, takes the reins as a more standard character unit, but no less a beautifully sculpted choice for the army. I imagine they will have several weapons options, as well as their mount, or being the army battle standard bearer. I certainly assume there will be an option for a crossbow, and perhaps even a halberd. Of note as well is that many of the banner designs we see here, on the other units, and the Sky Lantern, are all transfers. The most unique units we have thus far, the Sky Lantern and Sentinels, absolutely shows the potential of the design studio to bring Cathay to life. It's good to see the Lord Magistrate also being an option, though we have not been shown him on foot or on horseback. Throughout much of this, I expected to see the more basic crew designs from the video game, but even they have been given their own little details and character flares. As much as I love the more uniform crew of Total War Warhammer 3's iteration, the personality in these miniatures adds so much to an already amazing model. Though interestingly, the Sky Lantern is able to drop bombs rather than sky junk. My guess is that they may be tying the two together into one unit, and will have the option of giving the Lantern a fire rain rocket cannon and the two spherical balloons. The Sentinels have been revealed to not just be made of terracotta, as we see in-game, but also of other materials, jade and even warpstone. According to the presenters, these different versions of the Cathay's Sentinel are built to face different threats such as the Blood Naga of Koresh, as well as chaos at the Great Bastion's walls, and revolts from within Grand Cathay itself. Looking at the actual models, it almost feels like there's more detail compared to the in-game counterpart. These Sentinels are going to stand out in any Cathayan army, and it will be a joy to experience them on the tabletop. And finally, we have Miao Ying, Supreme Matriarch of Nangao, ruler of the Northern Provinces, and the ever cold and aloof eldest daughter of the Celestial Dragon Emperor thundering onto the tabletop in both human and dragon form. These miniatures are gorgeous, true and clear. The ruffle presence of her dragon form and the thunderous elegance of her human form have been captured so well. I would say my favourite of the two is the human form miniature, with how well they've done making her look as if she is floating upon the storm winds or even about to land with great force. I just know that even if Games Workshop makes plenty of stock to go around, they're still going to sell out within mere minutes. The most important thing about these miniatures is that they're all going to be in plastic. I expected that any character miniatures would be in resin, since many of the character miniatures for other factions range between resin and the older metal ones. I will touch more on this later. The Adepticon preview also showed us the Arcane Journal Armies of Grand Cathay. The book is 48 pages and will contain lore, rules, and even the yin and yang laws of magic. I'm sure they will reveal these when Grand Cathay gets their coverage in the Old World Almanacs, but I am curious to know how they will handle the harmony mechanic. I imagine it will work in a similar fashion to Total War Warhammer 3, perhaps using a specific characteristic like leadership as a measurement of how close the yin and yang unit needs to be to gain the effects of harmony. As for the lore, I will not speculate too much at the moment, but there are 3 key things that were brought up in the preview and the article following it. That the Celestial Dragon Emperor shared gunpowder with the ancient Sky Titans, a friendship with Nehakara, though I'm not sure if the presenter meant between the Dragon Emperor and Nehakara or Grand Cathay itself, and that Miao Ying is leading an expedition into the Old World. This last part is surprising and unusual to me. Miao Ying's duty, as far as we know, has always been the defense of the Great Bastion and ruling the northern provinces. Despite Yuan Bo or Yin Yin seeming the most likely to venture out of Grand Cathay, it is Miao Ying. Though, realistically, I believe it's because Miao Ying is the most marketable, and Games Workshop still wants to keep most of the focus on the Old World. Nevertheless, I cannot wait to pick up this Arcane Journal and learn even more about my absolute favourite faction in Warhammer. This does mean I'm going to need to push a lore video I'm working on back indefinitely, the topic of which is a part 1 on the Dragon siblings, specifically Miao Ying, Zhao Ming, and Yuan Bo. I would like to cover the Arcane Journal's lore in regards to Miao Ying's expedition into the Old World, once we know the details, and even any battles that are detailed in it. In my previous video on the Tease of Grand Cathay, I made speculations and predictions about what the miniatures would look like, and which ones we would be getting. And while I somehow predicted correctly in some parts, there are certainly parts I got wrong. One of my first predictions was that what we got in Total War Warhammer 3 is what we'll get on the tabletop. And so far, this has been almost entirely correct. Almost, but in a way that makes me glad to not be entirely correct. The Great Spirit Longma and a Shugen gun with a weapon, a variety of different types of sentinels, even an ogre loader for the artillery pieces, for example. The units are the same, but with additional options, which is all the more exciting. The second prediction I made was that the miniatures would not be one-to-one with the in-game models, my reasoning being that the scale may make it more difficult to get all the little details in there. But from what we've seen, I've gotten this wrong, and underestimated the design studio. They went above and beyond bringing these miniatures to life, with all the details fitted in. The third was who they would reveal first in regards to heroes. While I felt it could be either or, I made the guess that it would be one standard hero and one of the magic users. I would like to pretend I was right on the money of them being the Gatemaster and Dragonblood Shugengun, but I suggested all the generic lores and heroes available, so that would just be a cop-out. Oh well, next time. As for the army box itself, I got my predictions about peasants, crane gunners, and either a Jade or Jet Lion wrong. I'm actually quite surprised to see a lack of peasant units, but I imagine that the faction is going to keep to a more elite theme to start with before expanding with the other units. Finally, for the named character, I predicted Miao Ying, Yuan Bo, or Yin Yin. While part of me does wish it to have been Yin Yin and coincide with a sudden surprise reveal of her in Total War Warhammer 3, I would say given how early and sudden this reveal was, it makes more sense to be Miao Ying. Besides, Creative Assembly announced soon after that they're working on the Last of the Chaos Versus DLC, and I doubt Cathay will be involved, let alone Yin Yin. But I digress. I do still believe Miao Ying's popularity, and being the face of the faction during its reveal for Total War Warhammer 3, would make her the more profitable choice for Games Workshop. Now, for future predictions. Since Games Workshop seems to have stuck to a theme with this reveal, I'm going to predict that the second wave of releases for Grand Cathay will be the Peasant units, Iron Hail and Crane Gunners, Celestial Dragon Guard, and either one of the 2 Spellcasters or the Celestial General. Whatever it is the faction gets next, I'll be very happy to see. I think it goes without saying how big this reveal is. As said in the previous video, the statement that Grand Cathay and Kislev would not be coming to the old world for the foreseeable future, while not being a no, did put a dampener on things. But not only have Games Workshop decided now is the time to show them off, but the amount of effort that has been put into the range, the detail, the options, the variety, and the very fact that everything is in plastic, goes to show that they are serious about this. This is an entirely new range, built from the ground up alongside Creative Assembly's iteration in Total War Warhammer 3. Given that there has been some doom and gloom and uncertainty about the old world as something permanent, I feel that bringing Grand Cathay to the tabletop shows a higher level of confidence in the product being profitable, and the old world is something they can settle in on for the long haul. Thank you for watching. As said before, the lore video I'm working on will have to wait until the Arcane Journal has been released, since it will have some focus on Miao Ying. If you enjoyed, please do like, and leave a comment on your thoughts about the reveals and what it means for Warhammer the Old World. For the time being, may Grand Cathay's arrival to the tabletop be as thunderous and roaring as a storm dragon herself.